Okay, let me tell you a story. In 2017, 2018, when I was in the private sector, I was at a business conference dinner, and I was seated next to the CEO of one of the largest hotel chains in America. This is, I think, probably 2018. And the guy is going on and on about how much he hates Donald Trump. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, why do you hate Donald Trump so much? Because again, I was sort of a Trump skeptic in 2015, and at this point, I was kind of starting to really get on the Trump train. And he said, well, the reason I hate Donald Trump, he says, is because Donald Trump's border policies have cut down the number of illegal immigrants. And because I can't pay illegal immigrants under the table anymore, I have to pay American workers, and they want much higher wages. And I was like, this guy just admitted it. I was like, holy shit, this guy just admitted it.
That's a crime. That is
like straight up monopoly man evil shit that this guy admitted to. And I was like, my wife, who's very apolitical, she was actually at the dinner with me, and she's like, come again? You just said you don't want Americans to get decent wages. Like, that is the best argument for Donald Trump's immigration policy, is that American workers are getting higher wages, and this is why this corporate CEO hates it. So whatever the industry is, you've got a lot of people who want cheap labor, and they don't want to pay American workers higher wages. That's a big part of it.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins of the Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. So today's subject is... Actually, go ahead and pull up your, what'd you title this video, Chad? We had two this morning. I can't even remember.
The woke right and HB1 censorship.
Okay, so it's the woke right and HB1 censorship. The other one was political fence sitters. And but what J.D. Vance said there is so true. I mean, my concern is he's just giving lip service to the problem, and nothing's going to change. Because, like I said, again, my concern is the machine, the corporate machine has already got this in motion, and there's no way to stop it now. You know what I'm saying, Chad? Like,
yes.
It's just, this is the trajectory we're on, and everybody's getting all the politicians are already getting paid. So what do they need to change it for? So yeah. I don't know. I hope that's not the case, but I'm afraid it is. And again, that's terrifying. Businesses don't want to hire American workers. They don't want to. They want to be able to have slave labor in this HB1. And again, is HB1 the end-all, be-all? No. I'm sure there's a lot of people who HB1 really benefits. Like, they have it's good for them to be here, and they actually benefit. And I'm not going to go out and be like a left-wing liberal and be like, all companies are doing exactly what J.D. Vance, what that guy that J.D. Vance was talking to just said. Like, they're all doing it. I'm sure a lot of them are, because there's a big tax incentive for them to do it, because they get to have massive write-offs for doing such a thing. Well, let's just take away that tax write-off. Let's just say, no, we actually are going to tax you more if you decide to hire foreign workers.
Why can we make a tax write-off to hire foreign labor, but we can't make a tax write-off to hire
local
domestic labor? Yeah, exactly. We can. That's the thing. We can. But the problem is there's incentives not to, because these politicians are making dirty deals with other nations to be like, yeah, we can import your people here and then send them back with hundreds of thousands of dollars to your nation.
Exactly. And what's nice is, too, it's like, look, what if, like I said, again, tax incentives for not only hiring more American labor, but paying them more. Because, again, look, you should get a tax write-off for paying your employees more, because guess what? The person who's getting paid more is going to realize very soon, oh, if I get paid more, I'm going to have to pay more in taxes. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it is. If more money you make, the more you pay in taxes. It could be an increase from a $50,000 a year salary to a $75,000. You're going to get taxed more on that $75K. It's just how it works. So, with that being said, we've got a lot to kind of go over today, and where do you want to start at today, Chad?
Well,
like, how do you want?
I'll start with let's stay with the Elon Musk part right now.
Okay.
Yeah, MAGA versus Musk. Right-wing critics allege censorship and loss of X badges, which this is 100% true. Laura Loomer has lost hers, and several other people who've been criticizing Elon Musk, saying we need to open up the HB1 programs again. They've been people on the right have been criticizing this, and just like that video that we showed, it's like, he's like, I need people now. Well, so the problem is, we have people now. Like, we showed that one, I'll go back and find it through my Twitter feed, but the one where they literally fired crap tons of white men from all these companies and hired people of color that were not nearly as qualified. So there's a labor force of straight white men out there that are ready to be hired for this type of jobs.
Disney did something very similar. Like, they hired a bunch of foreign labor at Disney, and they had their counterparts train. They had the people they were being like they had the people who were being replaced train their replacements.
Yes,
and they said, and it's not like they were like, it wasn't like a peaceful transfer of power. It wasn't a peaceful shifting of jobs. It was like, no, I still want to do this job, and they're like, no, you can't do this job anymore. We have somebody else who's going to do it for cheaper.
Exactly.
So they're having these poor people train their replacements, and then they go, bye.
Yep.
Disney's done that, man. I'm sure Walmart does it too. I'm sure lots of places do it. But, you know, like I said, we have to decentivize companies doing that.
Yep. But anyway, I have this pulled up here from Axios. A handful of conservative critics of Elon Musk are alleging censorship and claiming that they were stripped of their verification badges on X after challenging his views on the H1B visa highly skilled foreign workers. Why it matters. The H1B issue and X post by Musk ally Vivek Ramaswamy about American culture's mediocrity have sparked online MAGA civil war over immigration and race. Some supporters of the president-elect Donald Trump are now turning on Musk and the tech bro Trump has tapped for key administration roles. Now, again, this is what the media does. They always make it about race. This has nothing to do with race. They're saying we want people to hire Americans first. Are all Americans white? No. They're saying hire America first. That's what MAGA, the movement, has been about. It's America first. If you are hiring or importing a foreign labor force, that is not America first. That may be America economy first, but that's not Americans first. And that's the big problem that we have with this.
And again, it puts these companies in a better bargaining position. If you're a local worker, it's like you can negotiate your wages. But again, as an employee, you have to be willing to walk away too. It's like, look, if you have self-respect and you're not paying me enough to do this job, you have to be willing to walk away. If you were never willing to walk away, then you were never really in a place to negotiate.
Yep.
So, but think about this too. Again, the HB1. These workers that come in and do these jobs, like they are not in a position to negotiate ever. It's like, do you want to keep your visa? Then shut the F up and do your job. And again, I'm sure Elon Musk and Vivek have noble intentions with this. They're going, oh, this is a good thing. This is a type of program that my parents or whoever got here on. Like, this is a great thing.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, they're also looking at it from the business owner perspective, going, this is all about tax write-offs. This is all about hiring the cheapest labor to get the most out of our product. That's where they're looking at it from. Now, does that perspective maybe blind them to the average American? Yes. But again, I don't know how far ahead they're seeing in the future with this. You know, I mean, so I'm looking at it from both sides, but again, I have to lean on the side of the American worker.
Yep, that's what I do too. Anyway, I'll get back to reading here. Between the lines, claims of censorship on X are difficult to verify, which no, they're not. Like several Laura Loomer and several other conservative commentators have lost their verification. You know, the little blue check mark. He has taken away their blue check mark verification because they were criticizing his H1B program. Now, and also I spelled that wrong on my thumbnail. I have to fix that. It's H1B. I did HB1.
Yep.
Anyway, since Musk purchased Twitter, the implementing sweeping staff cuts have been difficult in getting answers to whether or not certain accounts have been minimized. X did not respond to Axios' request for comment. So if they're not responding to requests for comment, it's probably true. Conservatives have long blamed shadow bans for censoring them on social media, even when there hasn't been explicit proof. However, Musk, X has often hailed as by conservatives as a bastion of free speech. Now, there is no question about this, that he is censoring them. The only difference is he's making it out in the open. The shadow ban means, hey, you know, I'm not getting as much engagement as I used to. And like, you know, now liberals would be like, well, that's just because your engagement,
that's because what you have to say is not interesting.
Exactly. That's what the left would say, but that's not the case. Whereas Elon Musk is being out in the open with it. He's like, oh, you criticized me, you lost your blue check mark. There is no, it's not a shadow ban situation.
This is the most authoritarian we have seen Elon Musk be.
And then here we go right here. Driving news. During the conspiracy-minded ally Laura Loomer, New York Post Young Republicans Club President Gavin Wax, and InfoWars Owen Schroyer all said their verification badges disappeared after they criticized Musk for the H1B visas, rallied against the Indian culture, and attacked Vivek Ramaswamy's Musk Doge co-chair. Now, that is true. That is 100% true. You can go to Twitter and look up those people's names, and they were not, I don't know them now, I'd have to look. But as of a couple days ago, they were not blue check verified. So that is true. So they can even this article is coming at it like this didn't happen. Yep. Or like, oh, we didn't check. Well, it's as easy as a Google search. I don't know why this is nowadays that freaking media sources can't Google their own fact checks.
It's a legal safety net. Because it's like I said, this is what happens when lawyers come in. Like lawyers come in and they ruin everything. It's like if you say for certain that he did this, like he could potentially file a lawsuit, and you're talking about the richest man in the world filing a lawsuit on you. Like they're not going to risk that. So they're going to say allegedly and potentially and unverifiably and things like that to cover their bases.
Exactly.
But again, this is why Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are far from perfect. This is why we don't like. Again, I'm still big fans of Elon Musk. I'm still a big fan of Elon Musk and Vivek. I think they're both very intelligent men. I think they're both very business savvy, and I think that they're ultimately going to be a force for good in the country. However, does that mean I have to agree with absolutely everything they say? No. Like I said, they can definitely get stuff wrong, and this is clear and present case of that. Again, Elon Musk going authoritarian by doing this kind of stuff, removing their... and I don't know if he's the one actually doing it or if it's people doing it on his behalf, or maybe he just texts somebody in his department at Twitter that he likes and goes, just get rid of these people.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, too. Laura Loomer has definitely lost her...
credibility.
Well, not credibility, but she's definitely like losing her momentum in the MAGA movement because she's been doing a bunch of really shady stuff.
Yeah,
but
Milo
getting back to that, but I'll just tell you this, like I said, but we already know that Elon Musk doesn't like what's his name? Alex Jones is InfoWars, and Owen Schroyer is with InfoWars.
Yeah.
So we know that these are people that he's not exactly big fans of. Now, I don't know anything about this Wax guy, but
the Republican.
We already know that he's not a fan of Laura Loomer and he's not a fan of Owen Schroyer, but just because he's association with Alex Jones. But I don't know anything about this Wax guy.
Again, remember, people will always disappoint you. This is why the only person you should really follow and put your full faith in is Jesus. People will always disappoint you. Elon Musk, you're disappointing me right now, but again, am I without hope for you? No, but at the same time, it's like this is a big L on your part. Just be humble. You and Vivek need to be humble right now. Take this L and be like, hey, we should reevaluate or maybe better clarify your position on why you're for this, because you're not doing a good job of it. You're just getting angry. Just be like, look, the only reason I'm for this is for the tax benefits. If you say that and be like, okay, well, Elon, why don't we just roll back that tax benefit?
Yep. Anyway, next thing I have pulled up just kind of makes it relevant is like, here's the NPC versus the Chad meme, and it says, but there are some there are some good immigrants. And then the right-wing Chad guy's like, I seriously just don't give a crap anymore.
Yeah. It's true. Again, this is what happens. Like, this is why you can only see so much suffering in the world. We can only open our arms to suffering for so long before it takes its mental toll on us. Again, there might be great immigrant stories. Again, this is why the Democrats are so good at weaponizing stories. They're like going, oh, this immigrant came here and did this, and this, and saved some people. It's like, well, that's one immigrant out of 1 million that have come here in just this year alone. We can't just be like, all of them are exactly like that one guy that saved somebody. It's like, no, they're not. We shouldn't even pretend that they're like that. No. So, again, we cannot continue to be like, some immigrants are good. Well, what happens when most immigrants are bad? And not bad people. They're just bad for the economy. They're bad for our social order. Sorry, but there might be some truth in that, and people just aren't willing to face the cold, hard truth.
Then here's this brings you to the next meme. This could be us, but diversity saved us.
Yeah. Again, this is like... Pull up that. Why don't you pull up that video of that British guy talking about what diversity brings?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is completely relevant to what we're talking about. Where is it? There it goes. Okay.
Perfect. This is a great video. And again, this study's been done a long time ago, but I think the only thing that diversity brings is protest marches and TV watching. I think those are the only two things that diversity actually brings to any community that's found in.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
The greatest lie ever told. In 2007, Robert D. Putnam did a study on diversity within community. What he found was that the more diverse a community was, the lower level of trust. This is within their own group and their outgroup. There's decreased community involvement, lower levels of voter turnout, they're less likely there to engage in civic duties, less likely to donate to charity, they're less likely to trust others. The study also observed that residents in more diverse communities tend to withdraw into themselves, leading to social isolation. This isolation was not limited to cross-ethnic relationships, but extended to intra-ethnic relationships as well. So tell me again, how is diversity our strength?
So, what does that tell you? That not only the more diverse your community gets, the less involvement and less engagement. I mean, it sounds like New York. It sounded like he was describing New York City. Again, Daniel Penny acted on his civic responsibility and his civic duty to protect others. And what did he get for it? Nearly thrown in prison for like a year. That is wrong, folks. And again, even intra communities, so like people of the same race and ethnic group, withdraw. So because what happens, you're walking around the street, you're walking down the street, and you realize you don't have anything in common with the people in your community with you, so you withdraw, and then you withdraw from the people of your own race too, because you're like, I don't know where they stand on anything anymore, because things are so different culturally. The values that people have are different now. The more homogenous the culture, the more shared values you have, the more civic duty, the more personal. It's like, it's, again, what's the mark of a good society? The showing the showing or mark of a good society is people who put their grocery cart back up. Like, if people feel that responsibility to put that grocery cart back up, that's a sign of a healthy society. I mean, it's the type of thing. It's like, oh, you drop trash out of your car, you pick it back up immediately. It's if you see somebody throwing trash out of their car, you're like, they obviously don't care about the society that they're living in.
What is that one thing? It says in Japan there are no trash cans.
You carry
your trash with you. If you have
until
trash,
you get home.
Yeah, you carry your trash in your pocket till you get home, and you can get rid of it.
There are no public trash receptacles in Japan. You carry your trash with you until you get to wherever it is. So if you're visiting Japan, you carry your trash with you in a backpack or something until you get back to the hotel.
That would be in Japan. That's how the mark of a good neighborhood versus a bad neighborhood would be if there's trash all over the place, because you know that you're in a delinquent neighborhood
if there's trash
all over the place. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Absolutely. But now that we're doing that, I mean, I can get into a couple more of these other ones, but just all kind of immigration stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we can probably end on one of those. But we'll get to the other part of our thing today, which is the woke right, which James Lindsay and Konstantin Kisin, and I forget his sidekick's name. What's his name?
I can't remember.
Foster something.
Yeah, Francis
Foster. But yeah, talking about the woke right and what the woke right is. Now, basically, they say the woke right, from what I gather in this, it's like the woke right would be like considered Richard Spencer and what's that kid's name? The one that everybody hates, the one that had the dude show up to his house and the girl.
Oh, Nick Fuentes.
Nick Fuentes would be examples of what they consider the woke right. They say that there's
they are not mainstream.
Exactly, they're not mainstream, but they believe in an institutionalized power system that's keeping in this case the white people down,
the white Christian society down.
Exactly.
Which, look, we know that this country does have disdain for Christianity. We know that. Like, that is a fact. Like, there is people will come out and openly criticize Christianity in this country, no problem, but they won't do it to Islam, they won't do it to Hinduism. Again, it's like that meme we showed you yesterday of the liberal girl. It's like showing the I think it was like Christian Bale going, "I believe in God," you know, and she goes, "Wow, you believe in a sky monster? How dumb are you?" And then a Muslim goes, "I believe in Allah," and she goes, "Wow, can I eat your crap?"
Mm-hmm. I'll pull those up.
But again, so let me give you a little background on James Lindsay and Konstantin Kisin. So James Lindsay is the guy that got famous for submitting fake scholarly articles to colleges, to peer review colleges, and got papers basically. He got the Hitler's manifesto published, but he restrained certain words in the manifesto from Hitler or Jew to feminist propaganda stuff. And it was published. Like, they published it. They published like 17 of these fake papers he put together. Like, one of his papers was something as the something about dog humping, and how dog humping is misogynist. And,
yes, I remember that.
And so it was dumb. It was very, very, very dumb. And the fact that they got peer-reviewed and published in scholarly journals is amazing. He goes, these institutions, so his conclusion was these woke left-wing institutions have fallen because of woke ideology. So now, he went on this show with Konstantin Kisin and got interviewed. But what he's trying to do now is he actually did a similar thing. He wrote another article, very similar, but it was like he did it through like a right-wing Christian nationalist perspective, and he got it published. And again, so here's the difference. He got those published through collegiate, scholarly, academic papers through colleges. This one he wrote, he published it and sent it to a far-right, website for Christian nationalism that has literally like 4,000 subscribers. Like that's it. And he got it published, and then he did it like this was this big own. Like he got something. It's like going. The difference was you publish those through a collegiate scholarly program, like
which means that these are the people who are supposed to be like, hey, we're teaching your kids, and they're publishing papers that have 0 citations in them, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. And then he goes and publishes one paper that has like the Fascist Manifesto or whatever, and he's changed some of the wording around
to fit Christian nationalist
wording.
But it was published on a website that has less than 4,000 followers, and he's acting like this was this big own. It's like, I got you, dumb Christians. It's like, James Lindsay, you've been hosted by Christian organizations to help them better understand and combat this woke idealism that they don't understand, and now you're dumping on them because you don't want to be associated with the Christian right anymore. You want to act like you're this centrist liberal who's going to take back the high ground.
It's basically what...
And that's what Konstantin's doing, too. He's like saying, oh, James Lindsay got him.
That's basically what I was about to get at, was this is them trying to distance themselves from the right and try to bring back some left people back in the fold, because they're like, hey, everyone keeps calling us, all these left-wing commenters keep calling us right-wing no matter what we do. Well, it's because the left has more criticisms of themselves right now than the right does. And the people that they're criticizing on the right are not big deals in the right-wing movement.
Yes, they are not. It's like these, like academia, like these are the ivory tower liberals that are keeping people out of the public square. But guess what? This far-right Christian website that nobody goes through, literally it gets 4,000 hits maybe in 2 months.
Well, it has 4,000 subscribers. God knows how many. I mean, only what's the rule of thumb is 10% of your viewers actually view your content.
Engage with your content.
Maybe they get 400 viewers regularly, maybe.
Yeah. So again, it's them trying to go back to the middle ground and act like they have the moral high ground somehow, when these people will absolutely, like they're trying to be like, come on, left wing, we're on your side too. It's like, no, these people will throw you under the bus, guys. But they don't care. They just want to feign their objectivity, and you're beneath us. Again, if you don't choose a side, you're going to die in the middle.
Yeah.
The war is going to, the war is here. And you're in the middle going, oh, no, both sides make good points. It's like they're eventually going to come for you, and they're going to, like, if you're sitting on the fence, they're pulling the fence down, and you're going to fall.
You have to remember is the people that sit in the middle and don't do anything in these huge conflicts, like the Irish. Think the Irish in World War II. The Irish did not get involved in World War II. Mm-hmm. They stayed neutral. And Great Britain and England hate them for that.
Yeah.
Hate them. Like, I mean, there is animosity about that crap to this day because they stayed neutral in World War II. Mm-hmm. So, can't be a fence center and then comment the words like, we did it. Yeah. I said, I guarantee there are probably some Irish people out there that are like, we won the war.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we'll go ahead and play this, and you can tell me to pause it if you hear something. But
sure.
But the only other part that I was going to touch on this is they say that the right wing, there's these, they say that the woke right is exactly like the left, which the left says there's institutions of power that are oppressing groups of people. And then they say that the woke right believes that too. But the only problem is that's actually true in some cases. These DEI programs are, in the case of straight white Christian men,
discriminating.
Like, I remember talking to a friend who worked at American Airlines, and he said that they were like, we're going to be start, and he quit because of this. This is one of the reasons why he left. But they're like, we're going to start our DEI program now. And he goes, and pretty much everybody, he goes, all the guys there were like middle-aged white dudes that worked at this upper-level echelon in America.
Yes.
And there's like, you all don't need to worry about your jobs. And then all of a sudden he just goes, but you just said that you're going to have at least staff has to be like half people of color. And then they're like, so there's only two options here. One, you're saying you're going to make more
Expand the
positions.
department. Yeah.
Exactly. Expand the department and make more positions, which means we're lowering our paychecks. Or two, the other option, you're going to be letting us go to bring in that other half.
He said that he saw the writing on the wall whenever they hired a lady who had gotten all kinds of feminist awards, and the fact that she went into her office and never came out and interacted with anybody. The previous VP came out and interacted with everybody and worked together with them, but she just went in her office and he never saw her.
We even experienced this when we were still film guys. Like, I mean, when we were trying to make films and submit them to film festivals, every single film festival, and I will admit, some of our early work was not probably good enough to get into some of these film festivals. I will admit that. But at the same time, every single film festival we submitted to had a survey that you had to fill out that said,
What race are you?
What race are you? What's your sexual orientation? It was like,
Is your film about the sexual orientation? Yeah. Is your film about racism? Is your film about whatever? And you're like, why is this a thing?
Why is this relevant? It should just be, you should be judging my movie on merit or my film on merit, not on all this gender and racial quota stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll let this play because we've been going off on a tangent now.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
All right, here we go.
And James, you mentioned the term woke right. It's a term you and I have both used. But it'd be interesting to talk about it for a number of reasons. But first of all, what do you mean by that term? Because a lot of people are very confused about it.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the best term. It's more accurate to I don't use the word woke too. I use it a little too casually still, generally speaking. But I've tried to be very specific when it comes to it, to use the phrase woke Marxism, as in that it's a species of Marxist thought, yada, yada, yada. So we can very easily place that on the Marxist left, right? Well, woke right, another term that might work for that is woke fascism. And just like woke Marxism is technically woke neo-Marxism, this could be called woke neo-fascism. The more syllables...
Why is it woke?
Well, that's what I wanted to get to. So there are kind of two ways to look at why it's woke. And one is kind of philosophical and one is practical. The practical side is look at how they behave. They behave exactly like the woke. There's the targeted influence campaigns. There's the manufacturing of what the postmodernists called legitimation by parology or whatever. They create the illusion that there's massive support for this and massive distaste for that, using social media manipulations like we just talked about. They are highly invested in identity politics. The answer for them to leftist identity politics is a reaction identity politics or reactionary identity politics, equal and opposite, or in biblical terms, answering evil with evil, which the Bible.
So basically, what he's saying is the reason that right-wing woke, counter-reactionary movements happen is exactly that, because it's counter-reactionary to what's happening on the left. The left is saying DEI, woke, we can't hire white people. So, of course, there's going to be a reaction on the other side going, hey,
Exactly.
we were right all along.
Newton's laws of physics. For every action, there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction.
And again, if this is a reaction to the right, like I said, it's the left's fault that it's gaining momentum. And if he doesn't see that, and if he doesn't understand that, like he goes, if we stop this on the left wing, the right wing part of this disappears. If we stop the left, the right wing part of this disappears. Because everything that he's talking about happened because the left took too much power. They're saying, hey, white people, you can't do this. Christianity's dumb. All this stuff is dumb. Well, and then you have these people who are allegedly, Christian, authoritarian, right-wing fascists. They're only popping up and gaining power because they have some bona fides to what they're saying. Goes, look, the left hates you. The left doesn't want to hire white people. The left doesn't want to take your Christianity and your faith seriously. So we have to take power and control.
Yep.
So, James, Like I said, again, I'm a big fan of James Lindsay, and I'm still a big fan of Konstantin Kisin. I like both of them. James, he's been crucial in the culture war.
But they can be wrong.
They can be wrong. But like I said, and they're not even wrong. They're right, but their conclusions are wrong. And we have to call them stupid and dumb, and they're gaining power. It's like 4,000 people is hardly something to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the difference is people on the left do stuff. They go out, they protest, they march, they hurt and kill people. People on the right don't.
Yeah, the biggest thing they have for that is January 6th, and they can't really come up with any.
Nobody
other...
died January 6th, except
except for protesters.
Yeah, except for protesters. Two ladies died there.
Yep.
So again, this is them trying to get back to the middle and act like, see, we're poking fun at the right too. They're crazy too. Look, and I'm all for poking fun at the right too. Like, we can take it. But they're acting like this is a huge problem on the right when it's not. I hadn't even heard about this article that James Lindsay published this through. I mean, I still don't even know the name of it. That's how little I care about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're talking about someone who they would probably consider far right. But they're acting like this is just as prominent on the right as it is on the left. It's not. If it was, we'd have heard about it in the news every single day.
Yeah, these organizations would be propped up. Look at these fascist, white
Look at these
groups.
so fascist, right-wing authoritarian groups trying to kill the gays and the blacks and everybody else. It's like, if that was happening, holy cow, we'd never hear the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
You ready to get back into the video?
But I mean, honestly, they're like, nothing else of use is going to be said here.
Well, let's see. We might get something.
Bible says not to do, by the way, very specifically. And so there's this, grievance, identity, everything's bad for white Christian men, straight white Christian men. We're the oppressed minority under this. There's an ideology, and this kind of bleeds into the...
But again, as we just pointed out, they are.
True.
It's very true. Like, their DEI programs are literally taking jobs away from straight white Christian males. Like,
I mean,
when they say less white, all they mean is less straight white men.
I mean, and you have to remember, guys, if you have seen, like, I've watched multiple lectures done he did a lecture at OU back right before college got started back up for my sister this upcoming year, and I wish I had gone to it, but he was talking, he goes, these institutions, like, even here at OU, like, you're relatively decently insulated, but he goes, these institutions are all already fallen. It's too late to almost, he's the guy that's saying it's too late to save these institutions from DEI and from, communist Marxist theory.
Yeah.
And he's saying it's too late, then what the heck are we talking about here? Clearly, the right's reaction to this can't be wrong. Now, you can disagree with how they go about it, but they're not wrong in their reaction to it. You might disagree with their conclusion, but just like I'm disagreeing with what you're saying right now, James. Like, I mean, it's, again, he's trying to get back to this. He's trying to make friends with the left again, he's trying to win back common sense, but again, common sense left that party a long time ago.
I mean, how many people have said that the left is irredeemable or they've completely lost the path, but they still vote in lockstep with them? Like, Sam Harris is a perfect representation of that. He's called the left out saying they're irredeemable.
Yeah.
They've lost the plot or whatever, but he's still anti-Trump, just like voting for whatever the heck.
Well, again, but I mean, Sam Harris is another perfect example of this. Like, Sam Harris and Christians agree about the threat of Islam, but Sam Harris is disgusted by the reason why Christians understand why Islam is good, because you can't make people like myself, intelligent, enlightened atheists, understand the actual threat of Islam, because again, it's like the whole Ridley Scott problem. It's like there has to be a scientific explanation for why these people do these things.
Yeah.
Like, because they don't believe in free will. They think everything that we do is done by chemical reactions in the brain.
Yeah.
It's like they don't...
Or for personal gain.
Exactly. So whenever someone of faith, like when Christians go, I will die for my faith. It's like, we'll be like, I will die on the hill. If someone says, renounce your faith in Jesus Christ, it's like, no, I won't. I'll die on that hill because I can't renounce the faith in my God and in my Savior. But guess what? The atheists don't understand that. They go, oh, absolutely. I'll say that I love the Prophet Muhammad just to survive, because they don't have anything. But again, that's what Sam Harris can't understand why Christians go, yeah, Islam's a threat because they believe it. Like they believe that that they will go to die. I mean, again, we saw it on 9/11. These people will literally die for their beliefs, for the Prophet Muhammad. They will die for him. They will kill people for him. And we as Christians, like, I understand why they believe that. If I believe that was part of my faith, I would defend it too. But they don't understand why they do that. They can't. Mm-hmm. So again, Sam Harris will find himself allied with Christians, but he hates the fact that Christians will ally themselves with him when it comes to Islam. Like, that's what's disgusting about it. It's like going, take a win when people join your side, but he's so above them. He's so disgusted by their faith that he can't even let them be on his side when it comes to radical Islam. He goes, no, because they're just so disgusting. I'm so above them.
Even Richard Dawkins is kind of taking a backtrack on being super atheist against Christians.
Yeah, being one of the 4 horsemen of the atheist apocalypse. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because they got what they reaped what they sowed. They got what they asked for, and now they're sad that it's happening. Except for Sam. Sam's thrilled about it.
Exactly.
There's this kind of belief that there's this ruling class that's erected an ideology to marginalize people like them that sounds very much like woke, except instead of saying that it's like the white people the white ruling class created white supremacy to marginalize people of color, especially black and indigenous, and their ways of knowing from getting inside, the woke right or the woke fascist side says instead that following World War II, on the back of Hitler and the idea of never again, there was erected a post-war liberal consensus. Starting in the 1940s, immediately, starting in 1945, the creation of the United Nations was part of this. The signing on to the United Nations was part of this. They assigned Bill Buckley, to having done a route to drive the true conservatives to the margins so that a false post-war liberal consensus conservative movement could rise up, the neocons, and hold them out. So the neocons become this kind of hegemonic force within the conservative faction that edges out so-called true conservatism and these more dangerous, so to speak, ideas like fascist ideas, like Carl Schmitt's ideas about unbound executives and friend-enemy politics and so on, that these ideas all had to be pushed to the side on the pretext that World War II or a Adolf Hitler can never rise again. And so therefore, the true conservatives who represented conservative politics and kept at bay the beast of the left, which they say is that the right's true function is to keep at bay the left. In other words, to have a war, right versus left, with everybody in the middle, I guess, taking fire in the crossfire. But they believe that this post-war liberal consensus and the neoconservative movement literally was designed to marginalize their perspectives and to keep these other more radical right-wing ideas out of play. So this is a very woke way of thinking about the world, that there was a structural construction of the social and political and cultural environment.
This is where I'll pause it again, because even if that is true, that they believe that, we have shown with Brexit and the election of Donald Trump that it's not delegated or regulated to being, that the elites have full control. Like, the people still have some modicum of control through their elections. Because, I mean, if you thought Britain leaving the EU was part of that world order thing, it definitely was not. Because, like I said, the liberal world order threw a fit when they did that. And then the liberal world order is throwing a fit with Donald Trump being elected, because they keep comparing him to Hitler. Mm-hmm. So you can't really say that, even if there are people that on the far right that do believe that, like, it's clearly not 100% true because Trump got elected again.
And again, all this is James Lindsay and Konstantin Kisin, the guys here at Trigonometry, making a mountain out of a molehill. Again, these far-right Christian authoritarian ideologies are not that mainstream. They're not mainstream. And if they were, people other than James Lindsay and Konstantin Kisin would be making a fuss about it. So, again, this is just them. Like, it's like what he's talking about. He just proved my point too. It's like he said, you have all these people on the far right and the far left at war with each other constantly, and then you have all these people in the middle ground taking fire. Yes, that's exactly what happens. That's exactly what's always been happening throughout all of human history. There are two sides warring, and the people in the middle get shot, or the people in the middle slowly peel off and go to the far and go to the other side,
to the sides where their interests more align.
Exactly. That is all this is. That's all it's ever been. That's what the election of Donald Trump was. There were people in the middle who were like, I'm above this whole Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Donald Trump thing. And it's like, all of a sudden, groceries start getting more expensive. Jobs start disappearing. The economy get tanks. And they go, maybe I am on the Donald Trump side in all this. I mean, it can't get worse than it already is, right? That's what happens, folks. This war of two sides, it's the forever conflict of good and evil. And the problem with these guys is they're so intellectual. They're so atheistic in their thought. It's like going, the war between good and evil is not a real thing. It's just a war of rival interest. It's like, no, it's the war of good and evil. Now, like I said, and both sides can be good and both sides can be evil. Like one side can have a cause more just and righteous than the other.
Like if you knew,
it's like the whole plight of immigration, for instance. Like it seems like it's the morally righteous thing to do to open your arms and open the gates to these people and take them in.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's a righteous cause. But at the same time, it's so righteous and so it's again, it turns to toxic empathy.
Exactly. It's like the rallying around the stopping of fascism or the Nazi movement was a good thing. But if you knew every single like battle or, bombing of a city that took place, you'd be like, wow, maybe the Allies weren't so great. Well, guess what? The stopping of the ideology of fascism was better than, a few civilians being, not a few, but, like civilians getting caught in the crossfire or stuff like that. Like what's that? The fire bombing, the bombing that literally made that tornado that literally wiped out an entire like town or village in Germany.
Yeah, I mean, like people like, oh, the nuclear bomb in Tokyo and Japan was so bad. It's like, I don't know. You ever heard about the firebombing of Dresden or whatever? There were people in towns 5 miles away that were being sucked into this tornadic vortex of a firestorm. I mean, imagine just walking outside, the winds from a fire 5 miles away sucked you into the fire.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's hell on earth, folks. And again, these guys are acting like that. And again, I love James Lindsay. I love Konstantin Kisin. I think they are both very crucial and important pieces in this culture war that we're in. But this right here is them being ridiculous. This right here is them, again, poking fun at the right so they can feign neutrality.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I know that they don't align. I know that they're not going to agree with me on everything I say. I don't agree with them on everything they say. But at the same time, they are making a mountain out of a molehill here. So they can, again, get to the middle ground and be like, look, we're back up on top of the fence again. We're sitting on top of the fence. And eventually, those gates are going to be pulled out from. And again, it could be us on our side being the ones pulling them down off that fence, and we could be the bad guys on this one. But if things keep going the way they have been going, it's not going to be the right that's pulling people off the fence. It's going to go back to that meme of the so you have the guy on the right and the guy on the left and the white guy in the middle. And it's a cartoon. So the guy on the right is red, the guy on the left is blue, and the guy in the middle is white. And then the guy on the left gets pushed. The guy in the middle gets pushed by the blue character, and he gets on the right and he goes, "Why are you siding with the bad guys?" It's like, well, because you pushed me over here. That's what this is, and that's what eventually will come to James Lindsay and Konstantin Kisin. So, anything? Is there anything else you had, Chad? I know that we kind of went off on tangents there, but that.
No, other than I'll pull up this little video right here, and like I said, these, and we'll just say that these are
the
H1s running in to take your jobs. H1B people coming in to take your jobs right now.
Yeah, and I know that's pretty crass of us to say, but again, this is. I mean, look at that. They just left. That's what this is, man. These people will drive these boats ashore. I mean, that's a perfectly good boat. It's like, but that's how good that they know they're going to have it over here. Like, they'll leave a perfectly good boat that they could sell for money to come to the promised land of America and get free hotel, free food, free housing, free health care. Now, not great health care, mind you. They'll get stabilization, and then they'll be kicked out of the hospital. But as long as they're stabilized. What else you got?
Well, that's it. I was going to end with this video here. So, like, since we're already running a little over right now.
Yeah,
but
sure.
If you just want to sign us out, we're good to go.
All right. Well, thanks for watching the show again, everyone. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. But that's all we've got for you today. God bless you.
And see you later, everybody.
One of the things I've heard him give a lot of interviews, and I know he understands the problem that they want to solve, but he doesn't seem to have a sense of the scope of what it's going to take, what it's going to cost. And that's a critical question.
Well, I actually had a meeting with Tom Homan the other day, along with a number of my colleagues, and we talked about this very issue. Look, it's already costing states like New York billions of dollars of taxpayer money to provide free housing, clothing, food, education, and health care to illegal immigrants. Then you have the situation where you have criminal aliens committing violent crimes, just as we saw a woman being burned alive on a subway by a man who was previously deported and then came back into the United States illegally. The fact is that what Tom Homan is going to do is start the process of deporting criminal aliens out of the United States. And sanctuary states and cities like New York need to cooperate. This idea that you're going to violate federal immigration law, that you're going to use taxpayer money to provide all of these free things. By the way, while Kathy Hochul in New York is charging New Yorkers $2,500 just for the privilege of driving to work in Midtown Manhattan, it's a joke. This is the stuff that needs to stop. So, yes, there is a price tag. Yes, it's going to cost money. But the reality is we cannot continue to have this massive influx of illegal immigrants coming into the country. Since Joe Biden took office, over 10.5 million people. That's unsustainable, and it's costing us billions of dollars.